Go ahead and get into our weekly bias. So we're starting with ES. We are on the monthly time frame, and I am going to just kind of walk you through what I currently have on my chart, and then we're going to get into charting what I need to look at for next week and what my bias is for the upcoming week. This is something I do every single weekend. I look forward to this a lot. I love it. It's literally like playing a strategy game. And I think the best part is when you do this charting and then you see it play out the way that you had as a bias. Oh, it's the best feeling. So with that being said, let's go ahead and first chart this order block. So there's an order block here on the monthly, and I think this is really important to spike out. So let's go ahead, let's title this. We're gonna call this an order block. And let's put the time frame so we do not forget. Let's actually also, I like to go through and make it where this is only visible on the current interval and below. I don't want this to be showing up when I go up to the 3 month. It's so confusing and it's terribly annoying. So we're gonna do that. We've already got it sent to the back. So when it's not sent to the back, you'll see how it kind of is like on top of this candle. So right now it's sent to the back, so I don't need to do that, but I like to do that as well. Just wanted to mention it because it took me a little while to figure that out. So if you haven't figured that out yet, there's a little bit of tips or tea for you. This candle here is currently trying to make a fair value gap, but it is not there yet. So we are not going to mark that fair value gap. However, let's go ahead and go down to the weekly time frame and do what we have next. I do have a couple trend lines on my chart, so I'm going to have you guys ignore those and just pretend like they are not there. But I do like trend lines. I think of them as like bumpers at the bowling alley. When you listen to Michael in his videos, he will talk badly about trend lines, but I do use them. I just don't lean on them. I use my ICT as my primary. Everything I've learned from Michael is primary logic. Trend lines, though, they help a girl out, okay? If I see price doing something crazy with those trend lines and my PD arrays are saying something else, I might just decide I'm not doing anything. So just a heads up, I do use trend lines and I do like them. They make me feel comfortable. So with that being said, and you know what, for now, let's actually hide them so you guys don't have to just ignore them. We're just going to make it where you can't even see it. So let's just hide them for now. So we're going to hide that one, and let's hide this red one. Boom. Okay, there you go. Now you don't have to ignore them because they are not there. So with that, we have two order blocks here on this chart that I do want to mark. So this is the weekly. We've got these two candles here as an order block. And I'm actually going to just take this and we're going to combine them. So you know what? I think to make it simple, I'm just going to take this as one candle. So we're going to take this one candle by itself. And I'm going to have the text be to the right. And then we're going to throw on here that this is weekly. I'm going to take off the background, but we're going to make the border thicker because it's an order block. This is important, okay? So we're going to make that thick and white. I want to know when I get in that box, okay? That sounded really bad. No pun intended. But we marked the order block, so boom, we have that there. Now we are going to mark this fair value gap. This fair value gap is definitely an area of interest, and I love the fact that it is inside the order block. That is what makes an order block high probability, the attachment of the fair value gap that goes with it. So this is what I want to see. Now I'm going to mark the liquidity, and these three things, they go together, okay? They go together like boyfriend and girlfriend. So it's like three peas in a pod. We got the order block, we got the fair value gap, and we got the sell side liquidity. So let's go ahead and name that sell side. If you hear some ringing that sounds like a bell, that's Lola walking around, my dog. They don't know how to sit down when I'm on here, so we just got to roll with it. But this is my area of interest. We're going to put a little emoji on here so you guys can see. We'll make it really clear. Let's put a little cute heart eyes, okay? This is my area of interest, this range. I want to see price come in this box. I would love for it to come down here and sweep it with a wick. Just sweep that box with a wick, and we're going to look for bullish setups inside of this box. So my bias for next week, let's mark this last liquidity, if I can talk, and we're going to do buy side. So let's see if we can find that. It's up here, buy side. So we've got our buy side, we've got our sell side, we've got the box, the order block, whatever you want to call it. We have our weekly liquidity. So this is my weekly time frame, and this is what is going to drive my bias for next week. Now, something to keep in mind. Just because I have all this on my chart does not mean we are going to immediately next week go down to retest this box. However, this is what I would like to see. I'd like to see price come down here and retest this area of interest after sweeping this liquidity up here. So in a perfect world, we'd open next week, we'd sweep that liquidity and immediately start setting up for downside. And I'd have some things on my list that I would want to see before I would take that trade. It has to confirm itself. Just because I have this idea doesn't mean I jump in, because we could go higher. We could create more candles, more green candles up here before we come back and retest that box. So just because this is an idea doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to remove that. But for now, this is an area of interest. So this is what I have on my chart. Let's go down to the day chart. And as you can see on the day, we have some things in this range. I'm going to take this and we are going to mark this as green now. And we're going to actually now call this an inversion fair value gap. You may be asking yourself, Kristyn, what is an inversion fair value gap? What are you talking about? Okay, so let me break it down for you. An inversion fair value gap is a fair value gap that was once going to act as either resistance or support and has now been crossed and should now act like the other side. So let's explain that here. This gap here was a resistance fair value gap. When price traded up into here, it kicked it down. But price was still bullish. It wanted to go higher. So what did it do? It kept pushing until finally it got to the other side. And then what happens? Resistance becomes support. So we have a retest here where price literally came back, sat on top of it, and held as support to then go higher. So I marked them green when that happened so that I know mentally, I want to see this act as support. I want to mentally know, don't be looking for lower prices after we hit this. Now you could sweep lower with a wick, but in my mind, I'm thinking if I'm in puts, it's time to get cautious. Okay. So this is why, again, I do my colors the way that I do them. I don't necessarily think price will come any lower than this gap here, but it could definitely sweep in this box. So you have to be open to that. Your stop loss for a trade like this is going to be down here. Price could still come lower. Okay. You can get wicks. Michael always says wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. So what does that mean to you? How do you manage a trade like this with all of this in mind? So what I do is, if we set up for downside, I want to see price trade back into this box, find support, and on lower time frame, I want to see it set up for upside. When I take that trade, my stop loss is going to come down here. Okay. I want to see price do everything it's going to do when it comes to a wick down, pull up, and then I want to see price respect this order block on the weekly. So some things you have to keep in mind. You're definitely going to want to watch Michael's order block theory video. I don't think I've covered order blocks in any substance here on my channel. So definitely watch his video. It's 30 minutes. It is a game changer. He explains to you how to look at order blocks from an algorithmic perspective. Remember, this is an algorithm. It's a computer. This is very important. It's got to be precise, right? So with that being said, we want to see the rules that Michael teaches, the way that the computer is going to execute those rules. So watch that video. It's worth it. It'll be the best 30 minutes. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. But one thing that I keep in mind taking away from his order block theory video is that I want to see price respect the order block. What does that mean to you? This is the weekly time frame. So what that means is by the end of the week, if price trades into this order block and if it goes lower, I want to see the candle body pull up and respect at minimum, the 50% line of the box. Okay. I draw the bodies, not the wicks. So you'll notice when we go back to the weekly, I'm drawing the body. I literally will take the bodies of those two candles. That is my order block. I don't use the wicks. You can do the wicks if you want. You're going to want to try this stuff out and just see what you like the best. But I use the bodies because, again, Michael always says the bodies tell the stories, the wicks do the damage. So with all that, this little dotted line, you see this green dotted line that runs through this box, right where the word order block is, that is where I want to see the body for this week's candle get above by the end of the week. That is very important. It can be lower Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. But if it's not above that dotted line by close Friday, that's a problem, okay? That means it's weak. That's a trade we want to be cautious on. We want to see price respect the order block. That's algorithmic. If it's going to respect the order block, it will make sure it does it by the time that candle closes. Candle closes are important. You need to start watching candle closes. Keep in mind what time frame you're on. Keep in mind the time frame that that order block was created on. Keep in mind the time frame that that gap was created on. Price can do whatever it wants to do, but when that candle closes, it needs to be where it's supposed to be. This is the one little nuance that I have picked up from Michael, and honestly, I don't really think I've seen a lot of people talk about that or about this. This is important. I literally hawk and watch and stalk candle closes to know if I'm observing respect of those PD arrays. So if you don't get anything else from this video, get that, okay? Don't go getting in trades before you have validation, confirmation from what you are reading with these PD arrays. And keep in mind, again, Michael teaches you the rules. There are rules that these PD arrays have to have respected for you to be able to trust them, okay? So with that logic in mind, honestly, it makes it very simple. You do not have to overthink this. You do not have to overthink this, okay? So that is what, if we set up to come down, that is what I want to see before I buy the box, okay? However, because this is on the weekly, chances are it's going to give me the setup before the weekly. So you just got to be nimble. You got to keep all this stuff in mind. Again, it's like playing a very advanced strategy game, but it's one that pays very well if you can get it right. So that is our day chart. That is our weekly. Let's keep going down. Let's look at the 12-hour. See if there's anything on here we want to grab. You know what? Did I do the day order block? I don't think I did before we move on. I did not. So let's just really fast add this day order block. We've got a couple here. We got this one right here. So let's mark that day order block. And I'm going to change the colors because as of recent, I've actually been doing my order blocks, as you see, with these dark white lines. And then we're going to take off the background because I hate it when I'm trading having too many colors on my chart. But that's the day order block. And then let's make sure this is only visible on the current time frame and below. And then what we're going to do, actually hate to do this with you guys here, but let's save this so I can have this be my template and not have to do this every time. We're gonna resave that. There we go. Boom. So let's cheat. We're gonna copy paste. I did a control V, control C, and then a control V. We're gonna take this order block here as well. Okay, so let's just draw that out there. Boom. So now we have our day fair value gap here. This was already tested, so for me, it's not a target. But I do still want to have notice of where it is because support becomes resistance if we get under. So we have this order block, this fair value gap, and then I have this day order block, and then we have this larger box, which is our weekly order block. So we got a lot of support, long story short, right? There's a couple new week opening gaps. If you watch my charting video, you heard me talk a little bit about those. Michael has some great videos on new week opening gaps and how to treat them. He's got a whole, I think there's 2 videos that go with it, and then he has a new day opening gap. So I think there's 3 in total. You want to watch those, okay? They're fire. The new week opening gap, new day opening gap, they are everything. Just like my midnight candle, I can't live without them. Cannot live without them. So I think when it comes to day chart and all of that, that's basically what I have. And then we're going to go down to the 4-hour. And now we got another little sneaky trend line. Y'all see this little sneaky trend line? I tried to hide all these, and now we got another one. So let's hide her too. Alrighty, so let's see. We got this 4-hour order block here, which is literally resting on top of this day order block. And there's a possibility that these 2 candles will also become an order block, but we're gonna wait because they have not been validated as of yet. So that is kind of my biggest focus for my chart. I think I do. Let me actually change this color. We're gonna make that white. And I want to take this inside color off. And then once I do that, we're going to take these and we're going to actually throw these down a little bit. So we have a couple of them because I want to chart this set of candles here. Because when we're actually falling and we're making this retrace, I want to know where these blocks are. So I have this one. And we did another Control-C, another copy-paste. We got this block here. And if you just pay attention, you see how price walked up those order blocks. Look, came up, came back down, retested, boom, hit that fair value gap, went higher. So as we fall, remember, support becomes resistance. And I think that's it, because after this block, we have our day order block. So it looks like a lot because we are on the 4-hour and now we have all of those higher time frames as well. But when we come to day trade and we move down and we're actually moving down the range, it'll be easier to see. Okay, we just have these lines as like my resistance and my support. I know that these are CEs because they're green and they're dotted, and you just work your way down until we get down here. Once we start getting into green, that's when I know I'm reaching my target and I'm getting to where I want to get to. So that will be how I manage that trade. I'm really looking forward to whenever it happens. I'm hoping it's next week, but if it's the week after, we'll take it. I won't be surprised if we consolidate some next week if we are going to make that retrace. We're going to need to consolidate. We're going to need to flip. So it'd have to go from bullish to bearish. So there's a process price has to go through to be able to make that retrace. So it would take a couple of days, I'm assuming, to make that happen. But this is what I would like to see happen. I'm open to us going higher because, like I mentioned, you know, it does not have to be a retrace week. We could literally just continue going and make another green candle. I'm going to be open to that. However, I am ready and open to that retrace because now that 3 candle pattern on the weekly has been solidified. The order block has been solidified. So if she wants to go for it, go for that target, she very well may. And the fact that we're up here at all-time highs and there's really no targets above, there's no PD arrays to go get that we can see, that is something that I definitely think will be a target soon for the algorithm. So this is my bias for the week. Again, bias is just something that gives you context. It helps you tell the story around what you want to see. But at the same time, it's not anything that you want to anchor yourself to. You just want to be able to have that storyline to go with the trade so that you're prepared for whatever prints and the story that is going to start printing throughout the week. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But this is my current weekly bias for this upcoming week. Today is December the 7th. And let's see what happens. And I'm going to do these every week moving forward. So I'll do my best to record these and share them with you so that hopefully you can get a hang of this process and start to learn it and do it for yourself. But I hope you guys have a great week, and I will be talking to you really soon.